So, thank you for being on. And go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do and what your name is and why we're here today.
My name's Mo Johnson. I'm a stylist, sometimes creative director, fashion lover, and I recently styled Andrew Curwen's New York Fashion Week debut.
I love it. It was so beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. So, let's get into the show. When you were thinking about styling, what was the main thing you were trying to accomplish?
I think styling with Andrew is different because we are thinking about the season months ahead, even years. So I don't come onto a collection fully finished. I'm in the process of making sure things are seamless with colors, things are marketable, things are also ready for pull. I guess I'm thinking about taking his artistic vision, which is so pure and something that he has been working on in his mind for his entire life. And I'm thinking how I can translate that. So when stylists get the 17, 18 looks in front of them, they have pullable looks, that we have a cohesion that really sings on the runway. We are thinking about size inclusivity. It's a million things. And I think just being in line with Andrew, styling is such an interesting job because you are someone who has so many opinions. It's your job is to have an opinion, but you also are meeting an artist in their world.
Yeah.
So you have to be really malleable. And I think with Andrew, I wanted him to fully sing and let him do his thing. And sometimes I just did have to come in and go, but I mean, he does that to me too.
I love that. So, how did you guys meet?
We met just over 2 years ago. So I was actually a fan of Andrew's work. He had a tenure at another design studio and had done a custom for Julia Fox, this beautiful knit dress. And I saw it online and I saw the draping and the corsetry. And I really thought this designer understands the female form, but also the impactfulness of social media, using really interesting techniques. And I was a huge fan. And I then meet Jane Wade. I walk for her show as a model and I fall in love with that team. And 6 months later, I come to New York to walk for Jane again. And my modeling career was kind of petering out, or my love for it was. And so I texted Jane. I was like, can I come sweep your floors? Or, I don't know how to sew and I'm in town for 2 weeks from LA. I want to basically be an unpaid intern. And she's like, sure. And I walk in and she gives me a big hug and she's like, I want to introduce you to Andrew Curwen. And he was at the machine looking down sewing. And I did the mistake, you always say don't meet your heroes, but he stood up and I couldn't help but say straight out, I'm a huge fan of your work. I follow you on Instagram. Aww. And I was like, and most people have this they kind of recoil. But Andrew was so proud and happy and he was beaming. And so we really met right off the bat with just this adoration I had for him as a designer. And then I got to know him, and he really is one of my best friends. He is so kind and generous and lives his art and his design.
So, when you're styling his show, what was one of your most favorite pieces or looks?
Ooh. Stylists love things that they get to put together and play with. And I have to shout out that Andrew's suiting and tailoring needs not a lot of styling. It is perfect the way it is. And I really deeply appreciate that because I think something that I want to be known for is holding back and refining.
Yeah.
Letting the suiting speak for itself. And it doesn't need an earring and doesn't need a million things. But the fun things to play with are something like Soap's look. She was our banshee. She screamed on the runway. She had this amazing layering of silk tulle organza, and she had a handmade bustle that was made by my father.
Oh, I saw those. Yeah, so cute.
Yeah, my dad made 2 beautiful, fully functioning bustles for the show. There's a lot of Easter eggs that I think go missing when you maybe see the show in person or you just look at photos, but the hosiery had beads tucked in throughout, and there were little mementos. There was some human hair sewn in the runway. There's a lot of Easter eggs that's really just for us.
Yeah.
So I think those are your favorite moments when I get the piece handed over to me, and like Tim Gunn says, you got to make it work.
Yeah.
And you put your little imbue your DNA quite literally into it.
So for someone who wants to be a stylist or someone who doesn't really understand what styling is exactly, what is your ethos around styling?
I think styling is so interesting because I think the bottom line is you have to love fashion as a world building tool. And I think I started out loving fashion from cinema. That was absolutely the thing I appreciated most. And I got into styling kind of as an accident through loving fashion in a million different ways. And, I think I was buying vintage, I was selling vintage. And then one day I was like, I can do a shoot and I can decide what goes on someone and layer it up and just have fun. And it really just started from a place of fun and test shooting. And I think if that's what you want to do it. And there's a million types of styling. I mean, celebrity styling is completely different, and that's PR.
Yeah.
And that's really knowing what brands are hot and
Yeah.
then matching that with the vibe of your talent. And kind of what I do when I work internally at brands is it's really enmeshing in someone else's world and helping them get to the finish line. And I like that because this is a team. Styling, it can be a very lonely.
Yes, it's a lot.
And I actually prefer the team so I'm not alone. Jane and Andrew taught me.
It's like you're working with what they have and you're trying to like explore sometimes even new ways of like displaying a piece that because a designer will get stuck in their head and be like, this corset only goes with this top or this bottom or like this shoe. And so it's kind of almost nice to have like a stylist kind of like pull you out of that mentality and you're like, wait, this looks way better with a pant or like a legging,
Yeah, you are fresh eyes.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful because you just like get in your own like way sometimes.
You're an auditor, I feel like, an auditor and an editor. And that's something I feel like with Andrew, I think he finds that helpful. He'll give me all these pieces and he'll say, wow, I just didn't think to put that with that because he's been sketching these, ideating these for years. And you're really valuable fresh eyes. And I think it works well when you have someone to receive that. Well, you kind of have to have that symbiotic relationship where someone presents, you're very kind at giving your critique and just what you think is going to be the most successful. And I think from styling, you have to sometimes put what you are, your personal style, down and say, with this project, what is the most successful way to present it? I mean, I work for a lot of big commercial brands too, Nike or Jordan, Stetson, Morphe. And I wouldn't say that I would wear all of those brands every day. But when you get onto set, you're like, how can I make this?
How can I mix it with my personal taste? Do you find that it's like sometimes difficult to do something that's like not within your own taste range, or
no, I kind of love
always make it work?
No, I kind of love it. I think, I have done some crazy stuff that I kind of love it. What I find hard is I think when you bop around, do different things, is remembering who you are and your personal style or just like who you want to be as a stylist. I think no one wants to be called the jack of all trades, but there have been points and maybe still now that I really do feel like I can do a lot and do it all. And I think it's a privilege to stay in your lane. Yeah. That I don't know if everyone gets to have. And I don't know if I even want that.
Yeah. So you prefer doing something like a runway styling?
Oh, I mean, I would runway style. Runway is amazing. And runway styling is so interesting because it's also dressing and costuming, pretty much. It's this combo. It's, you get the collection. You're also shooting a lookbook, so you've got editorial in there. Yeah. You have this amazing piece of ephemera, too. So you're managing a whole team of 12 to 14 dressers. And, you are in real time. I mean, there's nothing more in the moment and community about runway. Yeah. I'm alone so much of the time on set, or people don't get to actually see me work. Yeah. And then runway is this suddenly your whole career is we're playing footsie.
It's a small space.
Footsie in my studio apartment. And runway is amazing. And runway gives you a lot back because there's people in the audience. I mean, I was and still am a runway model for 15 years. And something about it, I fell in love with it.
Do you feel like the modeling has helped you with the style?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have my career without modeling. I think I was very young when I was discovered. I'm 30. My parents were also both models adjacently to their careers, not full time, but they were experienced in it. And I was spotted at Bergdorf Goodman in Beverly Hills.
Oh my God, I love that.
Shopping with my mom. Like, we couldn't afford anything, but just looking. I was so obsessed with clothing. I would go to these stores And I remember I was talking to Andrew about this last night. There was a Zach Posen dress that Tina Fey had worn to the Golden Globes. This has got to be like 2008.
Yeah.
And I remember wanting to go see it at the store and look under it and see how it was made. And I was spotted by Ford that approached me, and they were like, "Do you want a model?" And I loved fashion. So I said yes. My first runway, we'll have to clip this in this photo. It was a Project Runway, but like LA Fashion Week Project Runway. It was like a collab.
Okay.
I was 14 years old, never walked in heels, and they put me in teasers. Like,
Wait,
yeah.
Oh my God.
On a mini dress. And I had so much fun. And that kind of started me off. And I did some like Teen Vogue events, and then took a big break from, I walked away from modeling. I went to college. I have a degree in gender and race theory from George Washington University. And I rode crew.
Oh.
Crazy. And then I was a substitute teacher for 5 years. Yeah. So, and then
I love rowing.
Yeah, rowing's amazing.
I've never done it in a boat, but I like the machine.
Yeah. Oh God, it's terrible. I hate the machine.
I love the machine, but maybe it's because I haven't done it on a boat.
Terrible. So bad. And then randomly, I started modeling again at 25, which was very late. I'm also very tattooed, and at the time, and I was raised in 2008, 2009 in modeling that your career would be over when you were 19.
Yeah.
You couldn't be over a size 0, no tattoos, also just no agency. And so when I got back into the scene, people told, I got no's. No, everyone said, you're never going to walk a runway again. You're 25, you're size 4, which is just ridiculous. But I think if you know the industry, and I randomly kind of just did it myself and started, but I had this agency at 25, 26 when I met designers. I'd go in for my casting, and my walk and my height would get me far enough to where I'd get FaceTime with them. And I knew that if I got FaceTime with a designer in their clothes, I was so excited about the clothes genuinely and wanted to ask about the process that I got cast. I don't know if I got cast because I was the best model that walked through. Cared so much.
Yeah.
And I would be in the design studios and I would look around and I'd meet the stylist and I was like, what are you doing? How are you deciding that? And I feel like designers, kind of like old school muses, were like, we like this person because they care.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have my career without that, because Jane, I fell in love with her work. Jane Wade, who, shout out, wouldn't have my career, and we wouldn't have Andrew's brand without her. I was so in love with her process.
Yeah. Can you explain like that connection? Because he mentioned it a lot too, and I didn't really get a chance to
I
ask
feel
him
like
about
this
it.
is like it's not even a secret. It's just, so Jane Wade is this incredible Brooklyn-based designer. She has been on the CFDA fund. I think maybe just at her 6th season on the calendar. She was at another brand, broke off, started her own, and brought Andrew on as an assistant designer. And that's where I really started my New York modeling career, was with her. And we share a studio with her during season. She so lovingly and graciously gives it to us. A lot of our models come from that, a lot of our internal team, and just our knowledge of how to run a runway show internally. I learned everything from her. I did 4 or 5 seasons with her before I did my first with Andrew, understanding the cadence of casting, fitting, style out, day of. I would have never known that without her. And she's just an amazing person. Her designs are incredible. Go check her out. Go buy everything.
Yeah,
she's incredible.
Her aesthetic is very like specific. You can see it and you're like,
yep,
oh,
it's
exactly.
Jane Wade. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So it's kind of like mentoring, but also it's like, she just learned that too. So she's like, let me show this to like someone who else I believe in. Kind of growing that.
I think there's a really interesting scene here in New York and in Brooklyn especially. I am from LA and I moved here a few years ago, where, because New York is such a hard city to live in and make it, I feel like if you do make it here, people are really inclusive and don't gatekeep resources. Yeah. We share the same factories. She shares, kind of how to make things work, that I feel like doesn't happen elsewhere.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah. New York is one of those places where it is really hard. And I don't know. I feel like if someone else, my thing is I always want to help everyone who I can, especially if like a good natured like person comes, So I feel like I love to see that is also something that people in like bigger places are
Yeah.
also doing.
What's your
as
sign?
well.
I was like, you're sounding like such a watery.
Oh, I'm a Cancer. I have like 5 placements in Cancer.
Okay.
In the house.
You're like, I want to help everyone. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, water sign. I'm a Pisces, and my
Okay.
birthday was 3 days ago.
I told you
So watery. So
no, I get it.
yeah, I think Jane is a pillar of representation of how to be kind, respectful, concise, a wealth of knowledge. We share everything. And how she's succeeded running by those tenets has proven to everyone around her that you can succeed and be all those things.
I love that.
And I will never, ever stop championing her as a person, a friend, and really one of the most amazing designers.
Yeah.
So I love Jane.
I love that. So let's talk about the show.
Designer and collaborator that works out of Andrew's studio called Sophia Morin. And she did 2 pieces that were tonally were skin colored. So blink and you miss it, because it's the very opening look has this amazing kind of collar chest plate.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That if you might miss it, it's lambskin or it's kid skin, and it's fully corseted in the back, which is also this thing about Andrews is that internally everything is really corseted, everything's finished. So if you were to open it up, you could wear each piece individually, and the samples are amazing, and you got to see them, and that's very rare for a second season. So this beautiful collar had corseting up the back. There is a look with this kind of, it looks like this, her neck is bleeding.
Yes.
The blood-stained poof, which I love. Also lined in silk in the back.
Oh, wow.
But there, and then under, it's just kind of hiding a corset. It's a leather corset. And it's, these like so sneaky. And then there's this amazing look where Aiden, one of our male models, is wearing what we call the gauntlet glove. It's this very large leather glove that can scrunch. And then we have another leather corset on Chloe. I think we have a lot of collaborators like that where they're our secret weapon. There's another great person out of Andrew's studio called Josh. He has an amazing brand called Bushland. And there's the look with the puff on either arm and with the corset panty. And the puff is attached with this really amazing holster that's under. So it's completely wearable. It's not just, safety pin to her arm. He also worked for the bustle finishings. So yeah, I think that it takes a lot of people to make it work. Some of the corsets were also done by another guy named Sam in Andrew's atelier. I mean, there's so many Easter eggs. I'm like, what's my favorite look? I need it. Let me see. I'm
were you picking the accessories?
Oh yeah. I think so. And shout out to our shoe sponsor. We had an amazing shoe sponsor, which I'm really passionate about, called American Duchess. They are like period accurate shoes.
Yeah.
But they were so open to collaborating for us to kind of destroy and paint. And I kind of secured that partnership. And so we got the shoes. I'll do accessories, I'll do underwear, but I'm also, because I also CD for Andrew, I'm talking about hair and makeup. So that's a huge part of it. The way Runway styling and casting works is that Andrew will hand over a collection to me, or, I'm working with him as we go. And everything has a size, right?
Yeah.
This is a 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then for Andrew, it's really inclusive. We go all the way up to a 16 on pieces. So you have the garment and you label the size, and then you have to find your model. Then you find your model. It can be sometimes really easy, or you love someone in a lot of looks. So that's a whole part. Then you find your model, you slot him or her in, and then you get their shoe size. Now the shoes and Runway is always hard because you usually already have to source the shoes before you have the model cast. So, funny thing
really?
Is, oh yeah, because you're sometimes casting last minute because you're fighting over other shows with people. So
wait, let me break this down because I don't think I know that. Okay, so you're merchandising essentially, like the line for like the models.
Yeah.
So this look is a size whatever.
Yeah, is a size 6.
And then so that means I'm just gonna assume like size 9 shoe or something like that.
Yeah, and
right?
my 15 years of Runway experience, most Runway models are a 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just, I'm pulling on.
I would be flapping around.
Yeah. And then we have our wonderful soap where I order them all and she says, I'm a 6.5. And I'm like, oh. We got it for her. But yeah, so you're also, you rarely get everything. And then even if you have your cast, then someone has to fly to Milan. Someone is booked on a campaign. So, then we're like double cast back just in case. And shout out to Fish at F10 Casting for supporting us with that. But then, okay, so now I have my model. I have her size and I have her shoe size. She needs to come in. And we have her come in, try in the look. Final alterations need to be made. And this is when I come in with our hosiery, with our gloves. And I have said to Andrew often, I'm like, I think we need to make an underskirt. I think we need to make another layer. And, they worked up until the show, sewing some stuff that I was like, I think we need this. Or, I want to take this to the next level. Accessories, hair, and then we have a look that's like high collared. Well, that's going to impact the hair, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we have whatever model, whatever their hair texture is. So there's all of these elements that you finally come to the end and you're like, okay, for Irene, our opener look with the beautiful long suiting, I'm like, well, her hair needs to be up and off her face, which is different from the brief. So you bake out every single look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
No. This is great. This is like, it was answering like what I wanted to get into, like the backstage process. So it's like you're finding your model, you're figuring out, and people think it's like so easy though, because it's like, they're like, because like the runway is just the 20 seconds.
Yeah,
of, like,
I know.
Fame and glory, but it's like months and months and months of strategizing.
I mean, this is Andrew and I have known each other for 2 years. We've probably been talking about this collection for over a year. And for him, it's a lifetime. Your first, second show, you're pulling on ideas that you have been ruminating on for your entire life, and me as well. Like I have fascinations and tendencies. Like I really love covering the neck, and I was really like, I don't know. There's this amazing Jean Paul show where he has the beaded. And I was obsessed with that for this season. I just think I'm just so into it, and I might feel differently about next season. Yeah. And you kind of fascinate about something and bring that in to the collection itself. But no, it's hard work. I think it's a marathon and a sprint.
Yeah.
Because you're marathoning through the season, and also now we're already talking about next season and we're 2 weeks out of the show. But then you go into, and I've done this enough times to know that you go into the 2 weeks before and it turns into the longest sprint. And also, we're an emerging brand. I'm CDing. I'm doing a lot with Andrew and all the things, press, interviews. Also, you have to figure out things like venue. Yeah. You have to sign insurance papers. You have to do a lot of things that I never thought I would do. Yeah. Music. We have an amazing track that was produced. And then, so my 2 weeks out pretty much looks like we do a casting. We send in our first requests on who we like. And then I do a style out with one of our models. So we see one model in a lot of the looks. And then I kind of have those looks in photos. And then I have the size and we place the model. Then we bring in all the models for final fittings. That's where I get to really play. Like that's the moment I get to do my thing. That Andrew is working on something else and I'm alone there with probably an assistant or two, and I get to like, let's add, let's take away. Like, it's really fun. That's the moment where I feel like I'm doing what I love the most. And then we've got to prep for show. So you've got to break it down. You've got to label everything. The organization, because you just want to make sure you have everything with you plus extras, and then we get to show. I think I had 8 dressers who set up
8.
I think 8. I also had design team from Andrew. So about 4 from them, but 8 that are my dressers. And what we do is that we have a style out meeting and we run through every single look so that any of them at any time feel confident in taking it over, what to watch out for, what I'll help with, what like are the shoes going to be comfortable. I think giving more people more information is better. Yeah. That's also my teacher in me, second grade teacher in me. And then 3 hours out for the runway show is absolute.
Yeah, what's it like backstage?
It's crazy. You're shooting lookbook too, which not every brand does that.
But it's just so much.
Everyone's dressed. Yeah. It's great. The assets are amazing. So you're pretty much running a live lookbook plus getting people dressed and also having them stay dressed for many hours.
Yeah.
Which is like, please don't sit down, or helping them in the bathroom, or making sure the models are comfortable because you want them to be fresh. But it's managing, I mean, like, it feels like a worship.
Yeah.
Which, it sounds so dramatic because you're like, it's just fashion.
But it's like exhausting.
No, it is. But I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
I think it's just that, like, these are so many people's dreams, not just Andrew's. Andrew and I, like, I have so much gratitude because we get a lot of the recognition now. And I have been on the back of many teams and many photo shoots where I'm working just as hard, if not harder. And I get my name, and sometimes not even my name. I've worked on huge things and been forgotten off of the, like, and it breaks your heart because that's all you're working for. So I find it, like, it's easy for me to work myself into the ground knowing that, like, I mean, I get to walk out on the runway with Andrew. It's an honor, and I have worked my whole life for this. There are a million people behind the scenes on their hands and knees, lacing shoes that, I have to do this for them and for our hair and makeup and for our models and for their agents. And this is a lot of people's dreams and so many people in the audience. I mean, Andrew's parents, my parents, his mentors. I feel the responsibility to make the shows I work on as amazing as that because it's all of their art.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's like a lot of responsibility. And like, it's like a fashion show it's really interesting because, like, let's say you're an artist and like a painter or something, like that art can be like put on any gallery, obviously like the original exhibition, like, that might be like more iconic or whatever. But like a fashion show is just like probably like 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's amazing how short it is. I mean, it's ephemeral. It's ephemera. Yeah. Any art that's ephemera it's got to be the most beautiful. I mean, the most inspiring concerts of all time, beautiful dance performances, and Runway. It's this moment in time. It's so special, I think, now in the age of social media, which is also not evil. I think it's really helped us. But Runway, it can be captured, but there's still only the people that were there in that room. So it's why I love it. And there's things that you can only be in that room to really witness. Like, how did it smell? My mom did the scent, by the way.
I heard about
my
that.
mom scented the space.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
I love that.
My mom scented the space. So things like that, like, how does it smell? How does it sound? Just regardless of the track, and how I remember being a model, and how does the garment feel as you walk? And that's something only usually the models or whoever pulls will ever know what it's like.
Yeah.
There was a really amazing show at the Met called, I think it's like Sleeping Beauties, Reawakening Fashion. Yeah. I love that show. And there's a moment where you're looking at the oyster dress by McQueen. I think it's the oyster dress. And they have a recording of what it sounds like to walk in it. Like, it's like tinkling. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing that and I was like, wow, like, you only would have heard that if you were there or you were the model, and I could like feel the weight of the dress. And I think that's part of it, is like, I know what it's like to be like in a corset or in shoes and like really be in that moment and be a performer. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like now styling is also part of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, okay, I'm going to try to articulate myself. I think that right now fashion is in a really interesting point where like a lot of people are doing shows and everything can feel entry level, like pretty easy, which I think is good. Mm-hmm. I also think it's a little bad, but I think not like bad. I think it's bad in the sense of what I really liked with talking to you and talking to Andrew about specifically this collection is like the art of being like so intentional with something, and how you're talking about the smell and the music and the lighting and how it feels. And I feel like maybe people think about that, but I feel like it's not obvious when I'm at the show or at the presentation. And I almost feel like because social media is so quick and we're so used to just like churning stuff out to just like get views or likes, that you're kind of losing that like aspect of like finessing and like curating. And I just think that's like so exciting to kind of bring back, like, I would almost want to say like extreme attention to like detail. And like, I don't know if I have a question for that, but it's just more like that's what I kind of like got from that show, and that's why I felt really excited to be there and then want to like learn more. afterwards because of that fact that I could tell it was like so intentional.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. That's the whole point, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting where, and it's like, you know, assets, photos, video are the best commodity right now or the easiest to spread. So I think it's easy to go, well, if it just looks good in photo and if I can shoot something in my studio, like why do all of it else? Why care? Why spend the money? And I think for Andrew, that's never going to be a question for him because this is coming, this is his art.
Yeah.
And he's doing it for himself. This is his vision. And I really respect that. I mean, he's like, if I'm going to do this, I think he really feels like this is his purpose, why he's here, like what he's supposed to be doing. He's like, if I'm going to do this, why wouldn't I do it to the best of my ability with all of the collaborators that make it possible? And I mean, I really agree with that. I mean, and the work speaks for itself in photos, but he doesn't just rely on that. And I think it's interesting, you know, there are a lot of brands. We have brands emerging every day. We have, I feel like, shows happening.
30 seconds.
Yeah, you know, which is great as well. I think we have hit, like, I hope for a world where we are not just run by Prada, Gucci, Miu.
Exactly.
In my opinion, shout out London Fashion Week. I think they had an amazing season.
They did.
Loved it. Like Dreaming Ellie, Chapova, Marut. Love it. You know, I want that. I want it to be like fashion is a cacophony of small to medium designers and something like Prada, I mean, that Gucci show.
I know. Well, so I was about to say, I was like, do you think there was a scent at the Gucci show? Like,
I mean,
probably
maybe
not.
it is, and maybe it's owned by like a really huge conglomerate that is giving money to problematic causes. So I think I want more and more and more brands to exist. I'm not against that, and I think, but it's hard, I think, to do more than just a runway show. And we're just talking about runway, but you know, you've got to take your brand to market. Yeah, which I feel like you probably know about all this, like making your brand sustainable. There was another great quote I just watched. I think it was at the BAFTAs or the Brit Awards. And this actor won and thanked Ethan Hawke. And he said, Ethan Hawke, you came to speak at my acting school years ago. And he said something like, I need all of you to survive and to have the longevity to continue to do this because it's important to me that you pretty much make it through and don't burn yourself out. And I think that's what I feel for fashion is I'm like, how can you make it sustainable to continue to do this your entire life? Because I don't want it to be this churn and burn, which I see a lot where it's like people dump a lot of money into their brand for their freshman season and like don't have the longevity and the staying power just because it is really expensive and it takes a lot of resources. And that's the downfall of Runway.
And it's also like you're having to wear so many hats. Like you're supposed to like be a designer, churn out this amazing collection, but then go to market, sell wearable or like watered down versions of what was on Runway and then make money doing it's like two different businesses.
It is. It really is. I think and I don't know if everyone knows that. It's like you can be an incredible designer, but then you also have to be ready to do interviews, press, handle your email, and there are people who, you know, they really just want to sew. Yeah. Or there's people who really want to run a business and you really have to meet that halfway or have an amazing team that can kind of work with you with your strengths and your weaknesses. But no, being a designer is really hard. I mean, I'm no expert on that. I've seen what they go through and it's a hard mountain to climb.
Yeah. It's like, it's just like I said, so many hats, you know, I feel like it's like, how do you, I don't know. And it's not like they teach you that in fashion school either.
No, I mean, and I didn't go to fashion school. So I'm like, but I'm like, oh,
no, they don't.
Maybe I should have. I mean, no one. Yeah, school doesn't teach us. I'm laughing because I thought I would never have to use math. I remember like, and here I am, like in the design studio. Like I'm like,
wait, what is that? What is the ruler?
Yeah.
When I first went to fashion school, I was like, okay, I have to really learn a ruler now. You know,
yeah,
like elementary school shit. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, what was your favorite look in the collection?
Okay, one of my favorite looks for like a wearability, sellability, like, fucking key item was I actually had to try it on, was the like fencing look.
Oh,
blazer.
yes. Yeah.
But specifically like the bustle in the back, I was obsessed with that look because my thing is I'm always going to go towards like what is wearable because I'm the type of person where like, you know what, I would invest whatever amount of money to like buy that piece and then like
You want the staying
wear
power.
it to the ground, you
Yeah.
know? And so I'm like, and I also, that's just how I think, because that's what I do in the industry. I'm like, you could sell that again and again and again, and then you have your next runway. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, or photo shoot or whatever it is that you need. And so I was like, that look is like really epic. In terms of like an editorial looks, like I loved like, I don't know what you call like the banshee.
Yeah,
look.
soap banshee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That corset and the bustle in the back is amazing.
It was so pretty. And just like how she was like styled with her hair and then the shoes, it just looked really nice. Like it just looked like she was floating almost, you know, like how she was walking and the bustle was like bouncing. I also really liked when I went over the shoes with Andrew, you had like a glued I think it was glued, but it was like the burnt
hosiery.
the burnt hosiery, but then you also had this like white shoe that was like kind of brushed. I thought those were really great.
Yeah, we had an
too.
amazing collaborator on that too as well. Her name is Ella, and she customized a bunch of our shoes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with there are some pieces that are really wearable in Andrew's collection.
Yeah.
I think we hide it in the styling, you know. People might go, oh, I can never wear this, but there's a lot of these silk mesh tulle, kind of like almost like a ringer.
Yes.
A ringer
those are great.
a muscle tee, and those are highly wearable. The fencing jacket is amazing.
I was like, bye. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wearing it.
Yeah. And
see you later.
there's a salt treatment on that
yeah.
sample. A lot, and that's another little Easter egg is that it's very faint. In person you can see it more, but the hems of the pants, some of the jackets and the bustle had this salt treatment to kind of give this vibe like you were walking around New York or somewhere really cold and you had just traipsed through the snow. This like lived in quality, and I think Andrew has this kind of patina to his clothes.
Definitely.
That I really hope we can refine. I think that's something that really sings for both of us. Is clothes. We both wear our clothes a lot. I think as individuals, we will just wear it into the ground. Like fashion isn't extremely precious for either of us. We don't buy the most expensive clothes. We both thrift a lot or get stuff given to us by other people, and we wear it. We wear it to the studio. And I think when you're really working in fashion, your stuff gets ruined because he's sewing, I'm on the floor on my hands and knees, like, you know, your hem gets tarnished. And I think that comes through for us in the line.
Yeah.
Like fashion is meant to be lived in.
Definitely.
Even if it's a really precious garment, like a corset.
Yeah.
Because he just wears his corsets out. And I wear his corsets too, like out to the club.
Yeah.
You know, we really wear the clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I really like about it. It's like I can wear a piece from that collection to like my office job, and I'll have like the aesthetic that is like the brand, but I'm maybe wearing like, you know, another top or something with that. You know what I mean? It's very like mix and matchable. It feels like something I could wear with like a lot of different things in like a lot of different ways, but also like look fashionable. Like I feel like this is what I struggle with a lot. Maybe you could help me, you're a stylist, but like I always want to like have a piece that makes me look like I'm like into fashion. Like I'll wear fucking leggings, but then I'll like throw a blazer,
a fur coat
over it, or like something to like be like, oh well, I'm like a fashion girl, you know what I mean? It's like, so that's why when I'm like shopping designers or something like that, I will pick like more of a like specialty item because I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna have to wear a skirt, it's gonna be that skirt with the fucking bustle because that looks like fashion, and I could wear that with like a white t-shirt.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want the hero pieces.
Yes.
You know, I don't think, I'm personally not into quiet luxury.
Yeah.
I don't think maybe you are either if you're sitting here talking about Andrew's show. So I think, you know, I'm kind of the reverse of quiet luxury where it's like loud.
Yeah.
You know, loud hero pieces mixed in with like, you know, really wearable things. Because you have to wear it. I mean, New York is an amazing place because you can dress up like, you know, this crazy outfit and like stockings. It also needs to be like wearable for me to go out into the city. Like I wouldn't wear these shoes. Let's not lie. I'm in my house. Right, you know, this with boots and then like with a trench coat. So I think I love that about making fashion in New York.
Definitely. What, like, you know, Andrew Curwen like collection aside, like what's your favorite piece of style? Like for your personal collection?
In my personal life?
Yeah.
I do love corsets, and this has started long before Andrew. I resold vintage lingerie.
Oh.
a few years ago. So my love of lingerie and layering
Mm-hmm.
is really deep. I've never spent this much money on a garment. Actually, a really big, like, I thrift. I'm pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I never walk into a store and buy something.
Okay.
You know, I always feel
I
like
never find anything I like.
yeah.
Anyways.
Honestly, I'm just not in New York. I love New York,
Yeah.
but like I can't afford it. I go home to California and I thrift.
Okay.
But there was this amazing store called The Way We Wore in LA that's sadly now gone. And a few years ago, I walked in and there was a 1995 Vivienne Westwood corset, and it's my birth year too. And it's navy blue and my size, and I remember trying it on, and I spent $900 on it.
Oh my God, that's fine.
I know, but
I'm like that's okay.
like,
That's
you know,
cheap.
I've never spent that much money on, like, even
Yes.
remotely. Like, I've never bought a bag or
Yeah.
and I love that piece. And I stopped being so precious with it. I like the first few years I owned it, I was like, oh my God, I can only take this out to a special occasion. Now I put everything under it. And, you know, that's a really special piece for me. I think that was also signifying where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But styling myself is hard. I won't lie. That's the downside to being a stylist for me personally. I feel like I was my most fashionable right before I made my arc back into fashion because I cared so much, and that was the only way I could communicate that I loved fashion. Especially when I was teaching elementary school, my day job was not in fashion, and I didn't get to talk about it or touch it. So how I dressed really mattered. And as I've gotten farther and farther, I've become a little complacent. And it's also hard because I am a bit of a chameleon with the projects I'm working on. It's very Andrew coded, you know, we got the corset, very like crimson
It's
peak.
like a little bustly in the
Crimson
back.
peak, you know, and then, but if I'm like in the Jane world for months on end, I tend to dress that way. So I find myself, and I have kind of beaten myself up about that sometimes, where I feel like there are people where you're like, I really know who they are. And I don't feel like I am, but I think I need the freedom to kind of move around and change. And I've kind of accepted that's how I'm always going to be. That my closet's going to change. I'm going to buy and sell and
But that's fine.
Yeah.
You can get more like gems.
yeah, or just, you know, you don't have to be one thing.
Yes.
You don't have to be one aesthetic.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. Is
I
like
agree with that.
we've named all of these aesthetics, and I think you don't have to buy into it all. Like you can be bits and parts of everything and be yourself, because I think when you're one, that is where you're like not truly styling yourself.
Yeah.
Be everything.
For sure.
Like, you know, be kooky.
Yeah.
But my style inspiration right now, I'm like obsessed with Helena Bonham Carter. I
Okay.
always have been, but her street style, because she's so wonky.
Yeah.
She's so wonky. I think I love that word.
But I heard she might be playing Vivienne Westwood,
Oh my God, that's amazing.
which makes like
Total sense. Yeah. I love, and Vivienne as a person, as a style icon herself, is a huge inspiration for me.
Oh,
because she is, you know, she let herself be kind of weird and the star and sexy and kind of grandma all the way to the end. And the roots of that are in punk. And I think, you know, I wouldn't say I'm in the punk scene or anything like that, but I am deeply inspired by punk fashion in terms of like, do whatever you want to do and use your clothes and party in your clothes. And like, it can be simple, but it also can be crazy. And I think that kind of like punk undertone is really important for fashion.
Of course.
I think there's that wabi sabi. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, is you're always trying to toggle between like, I know their aesthetic, and then there's like a twist of like, what is that? Something's just a little off.
Yeah.
And things should, in my opinion, I think that's kind of how I feel with styling. When I look at something, it should sing, and then it should be just a little off. That you're like, what's wrong there, and why do I want to keep looking at it?
No, totally. You're like, it like captures your eye.
Yeah.
So if you were to give anyone advice to be where you're at now, or if someone's maybe feeling like, oh, I'm doing one thing, but I want to do another thing, like what would you tell them?
I would say I was there. I think it's easy to look at anyone where they're at now. It's easy to look at where I'm at now and be like, wow, she really must have always had it going her way. And there was, I mean, I was 25, 26. I was substitute teaching for 5 years. It was not my calling. Things happen where you have to make choices to survive too.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. And my gut said, this isn't going to be it. Something's going to change. And I trusted my gut really when I met Jane. and Andrew, really. And they said, stay in New York. And I had no job. I had nowhere to stay. And I trusted my gut that something felt so right. So I would say, even if you're 40, you're 50, my mom started making perfume. She's 58. She started a few years ago. So it was something that sang to her. She trusted her gut. It's okay to change. It's okay to leave something behind. It's okay to like, and it's so scary, but try and do it and try and trust your gut. But also, I think it's extremely privileged to say, just burn it all down. That as well, like you have to also survive. So do what you need to do to survive in this world, but it's never too late. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm not where I want to be now either. Like, you know, you always are kind of chasing the dragon. And, you know, I thought I would be somewhere different too. And it's not that I'm not happy. You're just always chasing it. But
that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was like young and talking to my teachers, they're like, I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was like, that is not the answer that I want to know.
And this is not my final place, you know? I think that's interesting. I'm so curious to see, like, will I be in fashion for the rest of my life? I think I don't know with 100%, you know? I think there's so many other things I love. Like, I'm passionate about social justice and law, and I love, you know, also weird things like traveling and knitting. And I'm like, but maybe, you know, maybe I'm going to be an old lady that knits in like the Cotswolds. And, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, so you never know. I think, I don't know. I wish I had the magic
I think it's just
potion
being
for that.
open to like figuring out like change and making directions and being sustainable and like
Being uncomfortable
listening to your gut.
too.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable. I would not get where I am right now if I didn't go through a lot of uncomfortable sacrifice.
But I think I saw a quote, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it was like, you should try to aim to be uncomfortable every single day.
Yes, you should.
know?
Yeah. And fashion will definitely make you uncomfortable. You know, so that's the funny part too, is, you know, to survive, to like have the longevity, like be uncomfortable and also take care of yourself. That's my advice.
Okay, I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So fun.
Yay.
Cheers.